So I'll try to explain how to speed up a little the Titanium application you are building, because everybody knows an application needs to be useful, needs to be usable, needs to be appealing, needs to be pretty, but also it needs to be fast. And Titanium, besides the fact that, or despite the fact that it has a native component, we still have the JavaScript that's slowing it down. So I try to show you some tips and tricks how to speed it up. So what is the best application? In my opinion, it's half it's well-written code and the other half it's just a lie. You have to lie a little to the user. I will try to run some tests just to show you the difference or how much time you can gain using the technique I'm going to show you. It's not a very scientific method, it's the simple timer. As you see, we have start and stop, and we simply get the milliseconds, the time that it takes the code to run, and the code that we run actually will be only an info. I will cheat a little, I will run the tests in this main iteration because the difference won't be so big, so just to have an idea. And also I will cheat by using this 3GS, which is a slow device. You might think that, okay, we have iPhone 5, we have Android with quad-core processors, but we also have this kind of devices that they stopped selling it like, I don't know, 3 months ago or something like this. And Android that also has a lot of low-end devices, and if you get a user, buys your application, has a 3GS, the application moves slow, it will put 1 star there or 0 star, it's crap, don't buy it. And the damage that is doing it to you, to your application, it's bigger and you cannot recover. So you should try to make an application that is fast on every kind of device. Also, you might gain like 1 millisecond per operation or 2, which is what a millisecond is nothing. But if you do this operation like hundreds of times or thousands of times in your application, you can gain seconds, maybe more. I will use some real data for the tests. I live in Asturias. Asturias has the shore with the ocean, very high and rocky shore, so we have like 200 beaches there. So me and my girlfriend thought, why don't we do a beach application? Application is all the beaches in Asturias with location, types of sand, if it has lifeguards, whatever, what places can you find around, and so on. So we got some information from some open data sources, and we're going to use it in this test. The number of items, it's not big, it will be only 200 and something items, but the information that contains is pretty large. So the whole data set will be like 400 kilos of information. Okay, so I think we'll move directly to the tests. I know some of you, Trevor found this yesterday, still use the include technique, the include approach instead of the common JS approach with require JS with require. So this is the tests we're going to run. The data, the files that it's included is just a simple T API info and nothing more, as I said before. So let's try to. Okay. If you use include for these files with 50 iteration, your code will execute in this time, while we require will be much shorter. And if I would have put there 50-100 iteration, the difference would be way much bigger. Why is this? Titanium, when you use include Titanium, it's parsing and evaluating the file each time you use include. While if you use require, it will simply read the file once and parse it, and after this will simply take it out from memory and serve it to you. So this you have a pretty big difference. I think everybody knows, or there were other speakers that presented the advantages of using common JS approach with require. You have private variables, you don't have to worry to not override methods and functions, you don't have to try to use, I don't know, namespace, set or environment to avoid this kind of problems. So yes, you can avoid it with extra care, but there is no reason why to work so much when you can use simply the common JS approach. Yeah, I mean it's dangerous. What I want to say with this. So Titanium works like this. We work with JavaScript, we have the native part, so we have this bridge between JavaScript and the native part. So each time you have to do something, like you have to set the height of a view. You cross the bridge on the other side, and you set the height. You are back on the JavaScript side. So each time you do something in Titanium, you cross the bridge. So the idea is not to cross it. But you ask, okay, so how do I work if I should just go native? Well, you will cross the bridge only when you need it. For example, try to cache everything. This is stolen from Pedro Enrique, another programmer. It's a guy that works on Appcelerator, so I can't get like it and stole it. Try to cache everything you need from the native part. In this case, we will use the selection style of a row of table, which is TUI iPhone table with selection style blue. What this means? Every time you want to set the selection style of a row, you will go to the native part, T, UI, iPhone, so you will lose this step and come back. It's just a concept. It's a 1 or, I don't know, I guess it's 0 or 1. 0 is for none. I guess it's just a number. It's 1. Every time you want this number, you have to cross the bridge. It's like going to the market for a beer. You go to the market, excuse me, how much is a beer? €1. You go back home, get €1, you come back and buy the beer. Then you go home. Then you say, oh, I want another beer. You go to the market, hello, how much is a beer? €1. Okay, you go home, take €1, and so on. It's pretty silly. So you simply cache it on your JavaScript side. Okay, then you use it how many times you want. You don't have to do this over and over again. If you have like this application, okay, we have 200 features, each style we have 200 times, but you have search, the user goes back and forth several times per session, so you will end up with 1,000 rows, 1,000 ways for reading again and again and again the same thing. It doesn't make sense. Okay, 100 iterations, like 80 milliseconds. It's not much, but it's still okay. How can you avoid to cross the bridge? Or another thing, don't use the setters and the getters. So if you have a view and you want to set the color, don't use set color as a method. Use the direct access to its property. Why? The overhead, it's on the native part here, actually. It's like, in JavaScript, I'm saying to the native part to set the height. So it's a function actually that sets the property, but it's inside the native part. So you have 2 steps to set the property. While if you are accessing directly the property, you avoid this step. Of course, there are cases when you cannot avoid it. For example, if you want to set data to the table is animation, and you want the rows to, when you insert a row, to come from the left. Then you have to use set data, you put the data and the type of the animation. But until then, if you have just set the property, use the direct access. This should give us another milliseconds. Okay, as I said, the overhead here, it's on the native part, and you can see here the difference it's very small, but still exists because you will set a lot. You will set all the time, like 4, 3, 5 properties on a view or on a table or on a label or whatever. So here, I think you still can gain some time. By properties. This is a function that I think was introduced in the SDK 3.0, and it's a method that allows you to put everything in one call. So instead of crossing the bridge each time to set height, top, left, width, you will simply set everything at once. Then you do one call, everything gets set up, and you're set. There is a bonus here. The rendering engine in Appcelerator works like this. I'm setting the height, I'm rendering. I'm setting the top, I'm rendering again. Let's see if we can get a test of this. Yeah. 100 iterations, you gain like 60 milliseconds. Okay. What would I like to say with this? I think I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a settings window. I think we still have people that are opening windows like this with a URL. So you have a settings window, you put some JavaScript in a file, you pull it as URL to the window that you've set. I just have the settings window, I don't care. What you don't know, or what you don't want to know about this, is that every time you do this, you open another context. It's like, if you want, you are using a web page and you are using an iframe to do some stuff instead of making an Ajax call. What's happening? You have a new context, the new file, the new window, it's like sandboxed from your application. So you cannot access other UI elements or other data or anything else from the application this way. Now, we will have people say, come on. We have no idea what we're doing. We have events. We have app fire event. I'm going to fire an event and that's it. Well, this is cool, but not as long as you have to send data. Well, okay. This function is again the simple info we have in Titanium. I'm going to set the data to an event. I'm going to send the data calling directly this function. If you are in a single context application, you can call this. If you are in multiple contexts, you only can do this. I'm going to use the whole set of data, 400 kilos of data. And you say, it's unrealistic. I ain't going to send this 400 kilos now. Yes, you might. For example, you are in the settings window and you want to update the database with all the beaches. We have new places, we have new information, and maybe you cannot control the server always. So you say, I have the data till yesterday, send me only the data that's updated for today. You cannot do this, you don't control the server all the time. And a lot of backend developers will send you just take 400 kilos and use it. So, yeah, this is the truth. Takes time. Okay. 400 kilos, 5 iterations, 10 seconds. What this means? for one iteration, the user will wait 2 seconds just get the data from his device where it is already and to process it, to start processing it. We don't count here the network time, I do the call to the server, we don't count here the parsing time. It's just moving the data from one place to another using the event style, which kind of sucks. If you wait 2 seconds, happens something on your device, your application is there. In 2 seconds, the user has time to delete it, to put a bad review on your App Store, and maybe to send you some emails with. Okay. We're talking about pictures, right? So let's say you want to find inside the data a beach. Let's search for this one, Torimbia. I think you would like. It's for newbies, you know, native people. So we are looking for this beach. Usually, how do you look for a beach inside of data? You make for loop. For my data, if the name is Torimbia, here we have the data. What can you improve? It's as simple as I said. You can improve it by breaking the loop. So if you are looking for one set of data only, one result only, in the very moment you found the data, you just break the loop and there won't be any more iterations. In this case, I reversed the data, so we have the letter A at the bottom, just to show you. Not bad. So when you break the, okay, this depends a lot of the data you have, because you have something like with letter V and it's arranged like in order of the alphabet, it will go very close to the bottom. But usually this doesn't happen. So anyway, each iteration you save some time. So again, another trick to break the data.
Why did you put the ladder on the break? Not needed. The break ladder.
I put a label because you might have more loops one in another.
Okay.
So you may want to break the inner loop, but you don't want to break the outer loop. Okay, it's clear?
Okay.
SQL transactions. We have data, we need an SQL database, and we have to do some operations against it. Okay, we were operating with JSON here, but I guess not all applications, a lot of applications are using SQLs. So you have to do inserts, right? This insert is doing just inserts. It inserts an ID and a name, nothing more. If you do an insert without using a transaction, starting a transaction and committing a transaction, each insert will be slow. If you do like this, okay. So this is what you gain. It will begin a transaction, will do all the inserts, then will commit to the database. If you don't do it, it will start, commit, insert, start, insert, commit, start, insert, commit. So we have some. Where is this guy? There it is. Network requests. Okay, I'm working with a server, I need some data, I'm asking, hey server, send me some data. Okay. But when you do an application, when you're working on an application with a server side, a server component, you have to ask yourself, do I need to do this code each time I need the data? Okay, if you are doing a real-time, let's say application like a chat, yes, okay, you can use sockets. Or if you are trying to plug in into the Twitter's APIs, then yes. But if you are getting data that can wait or is not updated in 10 minutes, an hour, or a day, there is no reason to do this call each time. So you can use this library. It's it's REST. You can use this to use REST approach, and it has also the possibility to cache the data for a time set by you in minutes. So you are getting the data, and what is very cool about this is that it's transparent. So you use the same call, but if the data exists on your device and it's the time to live didn't expire, it won't make the call to the server. So it will return you the data transparent for you only, but it will be from the cache. You need to clean the data you get from the server. Let's say you can work with the server, or the guys that work with the server, you can communicate with him, and you need to minimize what data you are receiving. For example, we have here latitude, longitude, and another entry which is location, which actually is compound by this. There's no reason to use it. You cut this and this, and that's it. Another thing, we have all these long names. You can go as far as using only a letter here, because on slow networks, I don't know, 3G or LTE maybe makes no sense, but we're still having Edge or GPRS. So on slow networks, for this kind of data, I think you can cut the information at half, maybe less. That means instead of waiting for 10 seconds, or I don't know how much, you can wait only for 5. That means the client won't receive a huge bill from the operator. So this is another way how you can speed up your application by cleaning the data you are receiving. Also, if you can, as I said before, if you control the server, when you get the data, send the moment when you last time updated the data. So the server sends you only the data you don't have. This will cut a lot. Okay, here we have some small stuff. Avoid XML. We have a lot of text here inside XML, right? I don't know, tag title, closing the tag, opening tag, description, we have description, we close the description. Exactly what I was saying about JSON. So try to avoid XML. One is because it's the variables, and second because on Android the XML parser is very slow. If the data is public, it's better to go through YQL from Yahoo to convert XML to JSON and use JSON. You gain more time on Android than parsing the XML yourself. Not to say that accessing the XML data is a pain. Receive some data and you need to set the title. Let's say we got the beach, the name, and we want to set the name to the UI. Then we have to put it in the database, sort some information, create the location stuff, whatever. The first thing you do, you set the title to the label. And after this, in the background, you are doing all you have to do with the database, because the application needs to be responsive. If your application doesn't, okay, you use SQLs and you don't insert data with transaction. So I'm going to save it in the database to be there, then I'm going to set the button. The user will have to wait 2 seconds. The title is here. So everything you do, if you work with the UI, do it to make the user happy. You are using database, you have to have all sorted. Try to save the data ordered. So when you need the data to be retrieved in the order you need, because this part, inserting the data, can be done in the backend, in the background. The user doesn't need to know you are working it, But if he asks for data, he has to wait for you to sort or search or whatever you do. So it's an order of operations that you don't gain time actually, but the user thinks that application is faster. From the rendering point of view, try to avoid any opacity if it's possible, any rounded corner or everything, because you have a pretty button, you have rounded corners, okay, and you have a table, and you start to scroll. At this point, what is transparent or what has an opacity, the operating system will have to think, okay, I have this button, has an opacity, behind we have an image, I have to mix all the pixels to blend them. Okay, let's move to the next position, and again and again. And the UI will become slow. Okay, not on iOS, or not on iPhone 5, but on slower devices, yes. When you're creating the interface, try to avoid the layout. This actually, you can see it with your eyes. You say, okay, I have to put 7 buttons, I'm going to put it in the view, put the view layout horizontal, and I'm all set. Put this in a row in the table, then scroll the table to get out of the view and come back. You'll see how they arrange themselves. Each time you're doing this, you're forcing the device to make some calculations. Okay, first view, it's 0, it's here, the second one is after 10 pixels, I have to put it 0. Don't do this. If you know exactly how you want it to be, if you know the position of each view, put it by hand, each of them in its position. This is a classic, everybody knows it. The class name, it's used like a template if you want. So when you create more rows with the same layout, the first time it's rendered and then it's reused. So this will speed up the application. The problem is that you have to use exactly the same layout because it's either useless or on Android it will go crazy. And about images, you have 3GS, we need an image with 100 pixel wide, 100 pixel height. Use this size of the image. Don't send to a smaller device, don't send a bigger image or a smaller one. Each time you don't set the right image size, the device will have to increase the size or reduce the size, as it means work. When it has to work, the CPU slows down. And I told you that 50% is just a lie, and it's true. So, actually this is the last slide. I won't teach you how to lie the user too much. When you open the application, don't do anything but open the application. So open the window, nothing more. Open the graphic, put the user something to see. Don't start connecting to the server, don't start connecting to the database, don't start trying to get the GPS. Don't do this because the application will be stuck for a while. And the user will say, okay, this is not start. You've not, I don't know, Need for Speed or Infinity Blades that you can let it on the table 2 minutes to load. No, your application has to be very, very, very fast. So just start the application, show the window or the main UI, then start doing whatever you need to do. If we have long operations, like I'm calling something from the server, or I'm processing some data and I need some time, show the user some information, show an activity indicator, show some numbers loading, show him a progress bar, whatever. He needs to know that the application is not dead. He needs to see that the application is working. If we have a lot of data, we have 200 pages, okay? Don't put 200 pages on the device. You will scroll 1, 2, 3 screens, like, what does this mean? 20 pages, 30 pages? Then we'll start to, let's see if this application can search for a page. Don't put all this information once on the screen. You simply scroll. If you reach the if you reach the button, you can put a button there for who is load more, or you can make if you want an infinity table. So when you scroll and you almost reach the bottom, you load the next 10 rows. The application will be faster. The UI actually will be faster than the application. And the user, it's very hard to render to 100 rows, and it's very hard to scroll to 100 rows. So just load exactly how much data you need. I guess this is everything.
You say that you don't have to load the UI, right? There are some JSONs that I need to do some really consuming queries that they need a lot of time to process because they have to relate a lot of data in my database.
Yeah.
Is there any way to avoid that without loading my UI? Because I can still have other features inside that screen that the user can play with until this query is done. But while doing the query, the UI is locked.
If the user cannot use the application, you really rely on this processing, then yes, you have to lock the UI. You can put an overlay and you let the user wait with an activity indicator.
Okay, but there is no like a trick that I can let the UI be active while
yeah,
for example,
the second splash screen.
Sorry?
The second splash screen with the exact same graphic as the first one with a load indicator on the top.
No, he was talking, I guess, during the operation, during the...
During the operation.
Yeah.
Well, there is a module that is done by Jeff that allows you to, for iOS, that allows you to use some kind of workers. So it's working in the background. You can try to use this.
How's code?
I don't know, type work. You should find it on GitHub.
TI worker.
Yeah, TI workers. And on Android, I think you could try to start a service. If you only have to and work with events, but don't send too much data. Yes.
You said about avoiding the usage of opacity and rounded corners.
Yeah.
So it is better to use a Photoshop button
Yeah.
than creating
Yeah.
it in code.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Because
and in a 9 patch.
yes. Yeah.
I thought you would say.
I should say yes.
About crossing the bridge.
Yeah.
It make sense to have some kind of JavaScript model with all the new constants.
Only what you use.
Only?
Only what you use inside the application. Because if you put everything in a file, the final APK or the final IPA will be bigger.
Yeah.
They analyze your code and they're using only the classes you are actually using.
About constants, any way to do it the same way?
Yeah, you can do it. You can go nuts and do it. Everything that goes farther and more levels, like TUI, map, whatever.
I mean, you can create JavaScript properties also for create window methods, something like that.
Yeah, you could.
I know you can. It's better.
As long as you cache the method, so it should be better, because you don't have to go and ask the Objective-C part what this means for you. You have it only once. Yes, Trevor.
Sorry, butting in. So, if you use a global tools common.js module,
Yes.
and you use a module variable where you define your TI, UI create window as a module variable,
Yes.
and you create a create window function in that which you exported, you can call that from everything and use that variable which is pre-populated within that function to create
Yes.
a window. Okay.
You can run some tests.
That would actually improve it. rather than
Yeah,
having
yeah.
to
It
create
won't be
windows.
that big, because
Yeah.
the deeper you go, the level of the method of the property, the bigger the level is, the further you go into the native part. You again?
Yeah, I'm pretty scared. So you also said to avoid layouting, or
Yeah, yeah.
So it is better to calculate on our own, or use percentage, or get display caps and then calculate on our own the position of the screen.
Depends on what you want to show. Because if you know the size, this size will have 100 with 100. There is no reason to put it. But if you have text, let's say you have text that you don't know how short or how long it will be, then yes, you can use layout. Because it makes no sense to draw it and convert it to image and get the size, you lose the same time. But I'm just saying to avoid the layout and don't be lazy, make your just do your code without relying too much on the device. Actually, you have to think that device is an old computer, like I don't know, 10 years ago. So we have to do everything. Yes?
You say avoid to use the functions like set height and use the height property instead.
Yes.
Why? Because it's just also using a set, right? It's also
Yeah.
communicating with the bridge, also setting
Yeah.
the actual height.
Yeah, but
the object.
if you take a look at the sources of Objective-C, where the set height and height for a view, you will see that set height only calls the height. So it's another set which is on the native side. It's not on the bridge, it's after the bridge. See my point?
Yeah.
So actually, it's like instead of giving you the phone, I'm giving to Javier to give it to you. This happens. So I'm still coming through to you, but instead of giving directly to you, it's another step which is on the native side, but you still lose time there.
Function code.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's on the native side.
One as well. Is there a difference between apply properties and batch update?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
I think that's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yes.
I would be very curious about the TI include required. You have included 50 separate files because you're requiring 50 separate files.
No. If you include 50 separate files once, or you require the same files, the same 50 files once, you gain nothing.
There's no difference. I mean, required
From the timing point of view, there's no difference. There's difference for the coding part. But include, let's say, I'll give you an example. You have a configuration file, okay? You have some themes, some colors, some fonts, whatever. And you need to use this file in every other file you are using to define the UI. I'm having a file for, I don't know, for the settings, another file for the beaches, another file for the details of the beach and whatever. And you are using the configuration file to set the theme, the colors, the text, whatever. You have to include 3 times the file or to require 3 times the file, right?
Yeah, I think I get that's the
Yeah.
case. I just
No.
if required on itself is slower or faster than include.
No, it's the same. From this point of view, it's the same.
Okay.
In one of your examples, you use plain JavaScript loop for loop. How it compares with for each browser, if you have a browser that supports native for each loop, the loop is highly optimized by weight.
Yes, for each. No, I said I'm yeah.
Asking if you have to try
It's on Android.
for each because you call it function.
Yeah.
I don't know how it compares with the classic program.
Yeah, but optimization in this time, in this case, I think it's minimal. On V8 engine, it's optimized for sure. On JavaScript core engine, I don't know. The idea is you can gain time breaking the loop when you're searching for something. So I think you can run some tests. I think you gain more time like this if you search for one item than using the optimized for loop, which is for each. Because if you have for 200 items, doesn't make any difference. But if you have 10,000 and you need the 5th item, you will loop for each 10,000 items or nothing.
Your require sample is something like require my win dot create window. Okay. Want to ask you how it compares to the using the new operator. Something like require win and then my win equal to new. Or it's just a personal.
It was depends what you want to do. If you have a function that generates something, or if you want a class, if you want to instantiate a new object. For example, you have a function that generates a window that you will reuse it. A window for show the beaches I have in Asturias and the one that I had favorites. And you reuse the same, then you should use new to create a new object from the class. Yeah, exactly. But from the speed point of view, I don't know. Yes?
I asked about if you go back to your for loop, you're using the double equal to check the if statement. It's true.
Yes.
You have a double equal to check if the type is equal to the string. Yeah, I asked about the double and the triple equals, how much you gain, and if there's any case that you shouldn't use the triple equal.
The double equal is checking for the value. The triple equal is checking for the type. For example, if I need here 0, and okay, I'm using the number, and I use double equal, it will take false as well as 0. It will take undefined as well as 0.
Yeah.
But if you need 0 and nothing more, then you put the triple equal and you check the type. It's a number and it's 0. I guess double equal is faster than triple because it doesn't have to check the type. But I'm not sure. Yeah.
Double equal does type conversion. So we try every change of the types and try all the types.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know. Honestly.
So probably for strings, the triple equal is better, right? Here that we know that it's a string.
If you know the types and you use triple
like
equals,
this
I think
case.
it's always faster.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually know the answer to this one.
Yeah.
The triple equals is actually faster because it's not trying to convert the type. So if you've got a string and a number, it will try and convert them both into a string to compare them, or both into numbers to compare them. The triple equals will just say, this is a string, this is a number, and will not, and say, you can't hear this is failure. Yeah. So the triple equals
first is checking the type, then the value.
If you're using the double equals, it will try and convert that variable into the same type as the first or second one. But the triple equals will first check the type and then check the value.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Any more questions? No, that's it.